Okay, we are told that Mr. Lee's speed is 1 hour for 60 km because 60 kilometers per hour. So we can see that he has actually traveled 1 hour and 15 minutes from 1345 to 1500. That will be a total of 1 hour and 15 minutes travel. Therefore, 1 1/4 times 60 kilometers, which gives us 75 kilometers, is the distance traveled. We are told that that is only equivalent to 1/3 of the distance. Therefore, distance from A to B must be 3 times of 75, which is 225 kilometers. Part A. Now moving on to part B, we want to find the time Mr. Lee arrives at his destination. The time taken by Mr. Lee will thus be 3 times of 1 1/4 hours, giving us 3 hours and 45 minutes. So if he leaves at 1345, 3 hours 45 minutes later will be 1730. That's the time Mr. Lee arrives. Part C. Let's look at Mrs. Brown's speed, which is 80 kilometers per hour. Therefore, in 1 hour, Mrs. Brown would travel 80 kilometers. However, we want to know how much time she will require to travel only the remaining 75 kilometers. Therefore, the time taken will be 75 out of 80 times 1 hour, giving us 56 1/4 minutes, which works out to 56 minutes and 15 seconds. Therefore, time Mrs. Brown arrives, from the moment it was at the point 1500, we move 56 minutes and 15 seconds later, she will arrive at 15:56 and 15 seconds. This is the time Mrs. Brown would arrive. Part B. Who will arrive first? As you can see, Mrs. Brown arrives at 15:56 and 15 seconds, while Mr. Lee will only arrive at 17:30. Therefore, Mrs. Brown arrives first. So, to find the difference in the time, we compare 15:56 and 15 seconds and 17:30. So using a simple timeline, from 15:56 and 15 seconds, we need to move 3 minutes and 45 seconds to 1600, and another 1 hour and 30 minutes to 1730. Adding these two durations together, Mrs. Brown will arrive earlier by 1 hour, 33 minutes and 45 seconds. Now this works out to 1 and 9 out of 16 hours earlier in fraction form. Part E, finally, 2/3 of the distance that is traveled will be 2 times 75, which is 150 km. So we want to find out what time Mrs. Brown left. We'll find out the time taken for her to travel 150 kilometers, which is 150 divided by 80, which is 1 hour and 52 minutes and 30 seconds. So from 1500, we move back 1 hour and 52 minutes and 30 seconds, moving 1 hour, moving 52 minutes, and moving finally 30 seconds. We found that Mrs. Brown actually left at 13:07 and 30 seconds. Thank you.